me so many things, like how to love and how to lose and how to choose.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Walking Through Life. Here I am, Kayla Shiner, and things are still looking a little bit different for everybody right now as we are almost into the 1 year mark, actually, for the pandemic, the coronavirus. Seems like the year that'll never end. Today, we have a special guest with us, a good friend of mine, Joshua Cushman. We've actually, I don't even know how long it's been. I think it's been like 12, 13 years. We used to work back when there was a Radio Shack, back when. So we've always stayed in touch, and bringing him on today to do something a little different. Life puts us in lots of different directions, and he's here to share about how sometimes life doesn't go as we planned, and he's here to share his advice and support and triumphs and struggles. So why don't you come say hi, Josh, and let us all know how you're doing.
I'm doing pretty good. I actually was lucky enough to have the day off. It's my oldest birthday tomorrow, so I was given a 4-day weekend to help her celebrate turning 13. So yeah, it's a warm day, and I'm looking forward to some good food later on tonight.
That is awesome. Now you're in the pharmacy technician, right?
I am the lead pharmacy technician at a CVS pharmacy.
Now, how is that? Has that changed a lot, workflow for you during, this pandemic? Because I know, a lot of businesses and a lot of people, have struggled with working and all. Has that changed for you at all during this year?
It has in quite a few different ways. One being the store I work at does not have a drive-through. So we lost a lot of clientele because of people trying to keep distance and trying not to come into the store. We've seen quite the change with everyone having the restrictions for travel, the having to wear masks. There's a specific medication that's distributed for having the flu, and we've done maybe one dose of that this entire year. So it's amazing to see the difference that just everyone using a bit more sanitation and keeping masks on, and everything can affect us in a positive way. As annoying as masks may be, there's definitely an impact.
I definitely can agree with that, especially the whole mask thing. So you are joining us today, and this is a really unique and different episode that we're doing. You are a single dad of five children. Is that correct?
I am. Yep.
That is amazing. Just having two myself is sometimes I want to pull my hair out, but 5 and alone is something crazy like that. Do you mind if we talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
So I just have a couple questions here. Being a single dad, what is the best advice you've ever received, either being a parent or learning that you're going to be a single dad? What is some advice that you have gotten and received?
Patience. I mean, you've got to have patience. You've got to keep in mind that, you were young once, you were in the same shoes as the kids, and they're going to make their mistakes, and you got to keep an open mind for everything. The world's completely different from when we were kids to the way it is now, from everything from electronics to what we can do and can't do outside, and just keeping a really open mind and just staying patient is probably the best advice I've ever been given. Yeah.
And especially nowadays, you definitely need as much patience as you can get. Now, what about skills? Like, what skills should every single dad have?
finding ways to bond with your kids, whether it's sports or like me and my kids, every single one of my kids, boys and girls, we love doing Legos. And that's something that we all can relate to, something we all enjoy doing. If you can have the skill to connect with your kids on any kind of level at all, it makes parenting so much better, because if you can find that fine line between being their friend and being their parent, that and just kind of ride that line out, is the best thing you can do, so that you're teaching them discipline and respect, but at the same time they're not afraid to come to you about stuff, or they can enjoy spending time with you and not thinking that they're just gonna get lectured every time that you're doing something new.
Yeah, that's great. And what are the age gaps?
I've got, my youngest is 6, and my oldest, she'll be 13 tomorrow.
Wow. So I'm sure there's lots of arguments and fights and disagreements in the house.
Oh, for sure. My oldest is getting to the point where she wants the privacy and wants, her own room, which she does have now, and wants to hang out with her friends, and kind of, hanging out with your dad isn't cool anymore. So and my boys are also close in age range, and I've got my 2 oldest boys have ADHD, and my oldest boy, he is very specific on his stuff, where some kids will put together some Legos, they'll have it torn apart and broken within minutes afterwards, and then the pieces are gone, and it no longer exists as what it was supposed to be. And my oldest has all of his sets put together, and he keeps them together.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, like here, like my youngest, just demanded cookies. So, and this just shows that, like, being a parent, in the middle of a pandemic and trying to work or get any sort of project done is just so hard. And, you just got to work with what you got. Do you guys do the really little Legos or like the big ones? I have the big block ones, and those are fine for me, and I keep them all in a bucket. But like, I tried to do the small ones with the boys. It was like a 3-in-1. You can make like an airplane or a truck or whatever. And I mean, it was fun for me, but picking them up and stepping on them was not fun at all.
Yeah, we do the little ones mostly. A happy medium for the 2 younger kids is that the Mario Brothers just came out with a set that's not as tiny as the tiny ones, but not quite as big and bulky as the fat ones. And you can still make really cool sets with them.
That's awesome. So what is your biggest challenge at home being a single dad, whether, it's like house chores or, dealing with them in different personalities or as a whole or routine schedule? Like what's something hard for you?
I'd have to say, every day I get up, 6 o'clock in the morning, get them up, get them ready for school, make sure everyone has the snacks that they need, make sure the girls' hairs are brushed, everyone has their medicine, and getting them on the bus in time, and then going to work anywhere between 8, 12, 14 hours, depending on, how busy we are and what we have for hours and staffing. And then coming home, and it's hard because, the kids do have chores, but the last thing on their mind is doing them. And trying to come home after working all day, all you want to do is kind of sit and relax, but you can't always do that. You got to get home. Sometimes you got to cook dinner. You've got to get the house clean. It all stacks up. And by the time, they get to bed, I'm going to bed right behind them. 8, 9 o'clock, I'm usually in bed because I'm wiped out and I got to get up the next day and do it all over again. I do have a lot of support from my parents. They live in an apartment attached to my house, so they help me out with childcare. They help me out with getting dinner prepared on later nights. So, but that's definitely the biggest challenge, is just trying to time manage everything. There's definitely not enough hours in the day.
Yes, absolutely. And that was going to be one of my other questions as well, is that, yes, even though life, nobody wants to, have a life, or they choose to be a single parent. So life, throws curveballs at you, and, for whatever reason that may be. So I'm glad to hear that you do have some sort of support. Have you ever met any other single dads out there, or thought about maybe like making your own support group or anything like that?
There's actually a Facebook group that I just recently grabbed that's called Single Dads. And the biggest thing is that it's for single dads that are looking for other single dads to relate and look for advice. And it's not a dating site. It's not, for people looking to hook up with single dads. It's all of us single dads banding together for support, for advice, for event session, or just to brag about a great day that we had with our kids. And I haven't posted anything myself, but I've definitely chimed in on a couple different posts. A lot of them are about moms that feel like they have this hold over us, that they can take the kids anytime they want, or that they're in control. And in the world that we live in now, that's not the case. More and more states are getting dad friendly, and there's a lot of really good success stories of dads going out and fighting, and now they've got their kids. And it's a really good support group, as far as you see every angle, from people that have their kids now and then, from people that have full custody. It's a wide spectrum, and you can get so many points of view, and it's been a big help, especially as of late.
That is awesome. That's great to know. So having 5 kids, I'm sure there's lots of triumphs. Is there any proud moments that you have?
I mean, there's not enough hours in the day to go over the hundreds and hundreds of things that these kids do to surprise me every day. My oldest put in 60 hours this past summer going and volunteering. She last year, while she was in school, she'd go down to the preschoolers and read with them. She's always had the attitude of, these are my siblings and I'm allowed to pick on them. I can be mean to them, but if anyone else does it, you better have a good hiding spot, because they'll come after them. She'll come. And but I have to say, my proudest moment is, 3 out of the 5 kids aren't biologically mine. I took them in, and they've been with me for 7-8 years now, and they don't call each other, oh, this is my stepbrother, this is my stepsister. It's always been, this is my brother, this is my sister. They've stayed a family and stayed together through every horrible and amazingly good thing that has come their way. And that's by far my proudest moment, is that they are family. There's no step.
That is great. That is amazing. That's amazing how they can, children are awesome like that, where they can just mend into a relationship without judgment and without, labels. That's great. I have 3 children. 2 I birthed. I have a stepson, and the boys, they're all, this is my brother. It's never been divided. My stepson, he's my son, and same with my boys, that's my brother. These are brothers. And it's great to not have that label for them. What's a scary moment? Is there like a scary story, or a time, or anything that you've experienced during this journey?
For sure. One's kind of funny. When my oldest was 2, a basement bedroom that was split up. I had my room and she had her room, and you get this feeling sometimes that someone's watching you. And I just woke up in the middle of the night, and she was just standing at the foot of my bed, just kind of staring at me. And I mean, she's always been, ever since then, she's been a sleepwalker. So that's always been like a funny kind of scary. On a more serious note, my youngest boy, he started this year, which I am very thankful for. Every year for the last 5-6 years, he's gotten a really scary bad case of croup. And the first time that he ever had it, he was just, almost hyperventilating. He was just really struggling to breathe, and he was taking these scary deep breaths, and you could just see his stomach like sink into his rib cage, and he was just really having a hard time. And it was this time of year. It's always this time of year. And I take him outside. I do a lot of old timer recipes of, putting a kid in in the steams to help clear out nasal passages. Or in this case, I took him outside, wrapped him in a blanket, carried him outside, and his breathing started to steady down. I thought we were in the green. We got back inside, and immediately he went into it again. So here I am, 2:00 in the morning, racing him to the emergency room, and they did a nebulizer treatment, and they did a second nebulizer treatment, and they looked at me and they said, if I hadn't gotten there when I did, then he wouldn't be here right now. And hearing that, and then them having to admit him into the hospital and continue doing nebulizer treatments throughout the night, I mean, I almost lost my son. That was the scariest moment of my life. And we've went out, we got our own nebulizer treatment now, so any beginning sign of him having it, we give him a couple treatments and he's good to go. And it happens once, and then we're set for what seems to be the rest of the year. And luckily that has not happened yet this year, which I'm extremely thankful for, because hearing anyone, especially your child, say I can't breathe is scary. You don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those, is it serious? Is it not serious? Is it a cold? Is it, you definitely know. No, I can't imagine, having to experience that, especially, them being older and being able to communicate like how troublesome it is for them and how discomfort they are. I know you had stemmed back that you were in the support group, but you hadn't posted anything yet. And, you're watching and reading and stuff like that. If you could, to anybody, what advice would you give other single dads that were in your shoes? What advice would you give to them?
I could go on and on, from several different points of view, but I have to say, you're not alone. There's plenty of us out there that, struggle every day with, am I doing a good enough job? And, my kid, never wants to spend time with me. My kid always seems like they're mad at me. My kid always seems like they're depressed. It must be something I'm doing. We're not always to blame. Life happens, and all you can do is the best that you can do. And that will always be enough, regardless of what you may think or feel. I struggle with it every day of my life. I wish more than anything, each one of my kids could have their own room, so no one had to share their own room. They could all have their own space. And I wish I had money to take them on fantastic vacations, but giving them everything that you can, all the attention you can and love that you can, that is enough, because that's what they're gonna remember. They're not gonna remember the seashell that they found on a beach in Florida. They're gonna remember that they went to Florida with their dad. And the only other thing is, don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not as important as the mom. No one is higher on the grid than anyone else. You are just as much important to that child as their mother. Dads get a lot of bad raps, and I've spoken out on social media a lot about it. There's a lot of memes that go around, a lot of posts that go around about, deadbeat dads and dads that take off and baby daddy this, baby daddy that. And it's heartbreaking, because we're not all these horrible people that, up and left. And we get this bad rap that because we're not the one carrying the child, that we can just leave whenever we want. Well, no, we love our children just as much. We're there for our children just as much. And so don't ever let anyone give you that label that, the mom's more important, because it's not the case, especially in your kid's eyes.
I have to ask, because, we're talking about this, is we lived in a different era than what our children are going into. It's like I don't know if it's necessarily our generation or our kids' generation, where they're really like opening up that fence of like equalness. And how do you think that that's going to look, for our children, where for like an example, like women's rights equally, and now we're shifting it. Now we're shifting it a little bit. We're shifting back and forth where, what are men's rights to, being at home, where the women has always been stay at home, and things like that. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you think that's going to look like for our children?
I'm hoping that it looks good. I'm proud of my oldest. She is very strong on the whole, okay, I get in trouble for wearing a tank top to school, but if a guy out in the soccer field would take his shirt off, that'd be perfectly fine. And, I'm proud of her for stating her opinions. But at the same time, we got this whole Gen Z crap that's going on, and it irritates me because everyone's getting offended over the littlest thing. They're looking at stuff to get offended by. And I don't know if it's the pandemic and people are just bored, but I mean, without getting into the whole thing about it, some of the stuff that has been getting canceled or considered for getting canceled or had to change, I feel like they're taking it an extreme level that doesn't need to be. And I just hope that my kids miss that generation of stuff, but can still have a generation of standing up for what they believe in on a really positive level.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. This is, and it's not even so much as the pandemic, but the universe is shifting and it's very weird for everybody, where the things that we have enjoyed that apparently are no longer considered acceptable, but we turned out okay. It's a very, very weird time. So with that being said, how does being a single dad emotionally and mentally affect you, whether as a whole or day to day?
I mean, it affects me in the sense of I can't just pack up and leave. If I want to travel across the country or something like that, I can't do that at this point in time unless I take them with me, which would be a huge expense. It would be missing school. It would be really difficult to do something like that. It's had an impact of, I to be able to get out and do something, I need to have a babysitter, or, most of the stuff I do at night is, once they're in bed, because, I don't have that option. And just to kind of sum up real quick, having two girls, my oldest has hit puberty and she has periods and whatnot. And it was hard for her to be able to come to me and be like, hey, Dad, I need stuff for this. And luckily, she had previously shown how to use everything. So I didn't have to deal with that part. But yeah, having two little girls, and, my daughter and I got into an argument the other night, and she said, you'll never understand how I feel because you're a guy. And that's the truth. I mean, I'm I can't, there's things I can't touch base on, but, I do the best I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. I mean, I'm a boy mom, so like farts and poops are like the hit in this house, and I'm like, I have no idea like what's going on. So, I've never thought as, being a parent, I would say like put your pants on, like more in my vocabulary than I would anything else in my life. So, I mean, I totally get it, raising children of a different sex. But this has been great. Before we close, is there anything else that you want to share or let the world know, or let other single dads or parents know? Is there anything else you would like to say before we end?
I mean, we definitely covered a lot of really good stuff, and I hope that, some of my story can get out to other people. There's hours and hours of conversation, and, if anyone ever reaches out to you with any questions, I'm an open book. There's no story here that I'm not afraid to tell. I've been through it all with these kids. And, but yeah, I just want to reiterate, every parent is important. No one is higher than the other, and don't ever use your children as a weapon against anybody else, whether it's the other parent or a grandparent or anything like that. If you don't get your way, don't say, well, you're not going to see the kids. You're hurting the kids that way. Co-parenting is very, very important. No matter how you feel about the other parent, it's how those kids feel. And, always listen to your kids. That will make your bond with them stronger than anything else, because they'll know that they can come to you.
That's awesome. That's great. And thank you so much, Josh, for coming and chatting with me and being a guest today. Thank you so much, CATV, for having us. And Linda Carbonneau for being a producer, director, and amazing and all of the above. And I hope everyone has a fabulous day. Be safe, make good decisions. And this is Kayla Shiner from Walking Through Life, and have a fabulous day.
Walking through this life of mine, well, it's teaching me so many things, like how to love and how to lose and how to choose. Walking through this life, some days I get so tired and I feel that I can't